Heartless, Forbidden, Book 1. Written by Suzana Thompson. Narrated by Paulina Schubert. Chapter 34. My relationship with Cade was almost too good to be true. I tried to refrain from telling Morgan about our perfect date, but she insisted on hearing all the details when I saw her on Sunday. I was worried that she would be jealous of my happiness, but she squealed with delight. "Oh my gosh, that is so romantic!" "It is," I agreed, having given up on avoiding romance with Cade. I had, however, insisted on planning our next date myself. "We'll take turns," I had told him. He had acquiesced without protest, but had immediately wanted to know where we were going and when. "Is it today?" he had pestered me when I answered that I didn't know yet where we were going. "I have to work today," I had replied. "Tomorrow?" "I'm going over to Morgan's house tomorrow," I had reminded him. "All day?" he queried. "I'm not sure," I said. "But we can't go on 2 dates in one weekend. Our parents will get suspicious." Actually, this was a concern for all our future dates. We couldn't keep using the story that Cade was cheering me up because of Brandon's rejection. "Say that you're going to be at Morgan's house all day," he suggested. "Stay there a little while, and then we can go on our date without them knowing." That was a tempting idea, but I was hesitant to use Morgan as a cover. My friendship with her was too new, and I didn't want her thinking that I had ulterior motives in befriending her. So I had told Cade that he would have to wait until the following weekend for our next date. After my evening shift on Saturday, I had ignored the looks Cade was giving me and claimed exhaustion. Having my own bathroom was perfect for avoiding running into Cade in the hallway, and he hadn't come knocking on my door last night. He was waiting for me when I emerged from my room this morning, though. I was startled to see him standing there, and I stared at him in my surprise as he stepped forward and kissed me. He tasted minty, and it made me self-conscious. I anxiously pulled away from him. I haven't brushed my teeth yet. I hadn't expected to kiss him before breakfast, so I hadn't thought to be ready for it. He had obviously brushed his teeth in preparation, and I felt embarrassed about being caught with morning breath. "I don't care," he told me, and tried to kiss me again. I backed away into my room. "I have to brush my teeth first." Instead of waiting for me in my bedroom, he followed me into the bathroom as I grabbed my toothbrush and squeezed toothpaste onto it. I watched him in the mirror as he leaned against the wall behind me. Having him there in the bathroom with me made me feel like I was sharing something forbidden, even though I was only brushing my teeth. Suddenly feeling nervous and shy, I dropped my gaze to the faucet as I started to stick the brush in my mouth and scrub quickly and vigorously at my teeth. Running the water, I rinsed off the brush and swished water around in my refreshed and clean mouth. I lifted my head as I felt Cade's body connect with mine where I was leaning over the sink. Water was still dripping down my chin while his hand came around to take hold of it and turn my head as he maneuvered his head sideways to kiss me. I let him, and his mouth felt hot on mine after the coolness of the water. I opened wider on a moan when his hand slid down to palm my breasts. He slipped his tongue inside my mouth, and I welcomed it hungrily with a devouring eagerness for more of him. His firm grip on me matched the ferocity of our kiss. I wanted him with a wild abandon I'd never felt before. When he broke the kiss and yanked my sweatpants and panties down together in one rough motion, I arched my back against him in anticipation of his touch between my legs. I gasped at the thrill of it, but he froze before removing his hand. "I'm sorry," he said as he stepped back away from me. "I didn't mean to go that far." His breathing was just as affected as mine, and his voice was husky. It was so sexy that I wanted to grab him and rip his clothes off. I turned around to look at him directly. "I didn't want you to stop," I told him, feeling wanton and unashamed of my nakedness. His gaze became so heated that I felt like he was setting me on fire with a look. My body flared with heat that caused sweat to break out on my lower back. "Lexi," he began, and the husky way he spoke my name shot a thrill of desire through me. "I want it to be special for you," he continued. "I've never been with a—" "Lexi!" Mom called. I panicked at the sound of her voice and pulled up my underwear and sweatpants, gasping when Cade suddenly splashed water on me. He had turned on the faucet and was flinging water at me with his hands. I shrieked as it soaked my back and darted forward to escape it, but halted in my tracks when Mom entered the bathroom. "What's going on here?" she demanded in bewilderment. "He's splashing water on me," I said in dismay, although he had stopped. "What are you doing in here?" Mom asked, and her question brought back my panic. "Waking her up," Kate answered, managing to sound amused. I didn't dare turn to look at him, but I was sure there was a cocky smirk on his face. His nerves of steel paid off, because Mom bought his annoying brother act. "You're a little too old for this kind of behavior," she scolded him. "Oh my goodness, there's water all over the floor," she fretted. "I've got to clean this up." He stopped her as she tried to grab one of the towels I had left hanging over the shower door last night. "I'll do it. I made the mess." "You certainly did," she agreed, but her words were spoken mildly. "Thank you again for taking Lexi to that show. That was so nice of you." He was in my line of vision now, because I had turned to follow Mom's movements through the room. He glanced up from where he was crouched mopping up water from the floor with my towel. His gaze met mine briefly. "It was really fun," he declared. "I did it for her, but I liked it too." "That's good," Mom said. "I hear it's a wonderful family show. We should all go together sometime." She paused and seemed to be searching for her next words. "You haven't grown up with—" She trailed off with a pained expression before speaking again. "Lexi is your stepsister now, and I'm glad you feel comfortable with her. But coming into her room to play a prank on her, she could be, She was dressed this time, but she could have been about to take a shower, or—" I quickly cut off her awkward rambling. "I lock my door when I go to bed. I unlocked it to go down to breakfast, but, I remembered I didn't wash my hands," I lied, since I couldn't tell her the truth about why I had returned to my room. She gave me a funny look, probably wondering how I could forget to wash my hands if I went to the bathroom after I got up. It's good that you lock your door. You never did at home, at the apartment," she corrected herself. "It was only you and me," I said. "There are lots of people here, and you're so far away you probably wouldn't hear me if I was getting murdered." She was startled by my stupid remark. "Are you afraid of sleeping here by yourself? Robert thought you'd want your own space, but we can move you closer into one of the guest bedrooms in our wing if you want. You wouldn't have your own bathroom, but you could still use this one for taking your showers." "I was joking," I assured her quickly. "I love my room. I don't want to move to another one." "Are you sure?" she asked uncertainly. "Yes, Mom," I insisted. "Really, it was just a stupid joke. So, why are you here? I mean, did you need anything?" "Oh," she replied. "I wanted to ask you what you wanted for breakfast. I peeked into your room to see if you were awake and saw that you weren't in bed," she explained. Cade came to stand beside us now. "I want an egg white omelet," he said. "Laura knows what kind." "If you're ready to go down, you can tell her," Mom prodded him to leave. "Wash your hands first," she couldn't help adding in her mothering way. We silently watched him wash his hands and wipe them on the hand towel before he left with a smirk directed at me. He was already walking out the door when I went into my room to change my wet clothes. Mom went to stand vigil at the door after he closed it. I grabbed another pair of sweatpants and a t-shirt before removing the ones I had on. I was still nervous about almost being caught half naked with Cade. That was the reason that I ignored him after work that night. There was no way that I was going to sneak into his room and take the chance of going too far again. I had to slow things down between us. It had taken Lucas 3 months to get me to have sex with him. But Cade and I had only been together for a week, and we were already on the verge of it. I reminded myself that we had only been on one date, and that it was much too soon for us to be sleeping together. He wasn't pushing the issue, and he had actually been the one to stop our heated makeout session. But I felt like I couldn't trust myself to be alone with him. That was a problem, since we were living together. Escaping to Morgan's house and leaving the sexual tension behind was a relief. I hadn't told her about any of that, and had only shared the romantic details of our date with her. "So, have you heard from Logan?" I asked to distract myself from the thought of Cade. "Yes, he came here yesterday," she replied. That grabbed my attention. "He came here? Did you talk to him?" "Yes," she answered excitedly. You would have been so proud of me, Lexi. I stuck to the plan, and I was so calm when I talked to him. It was like I was acting out a scene from a movie. I told him that I realized that I had to get over him and move on with my life. What'd he say? I asked, hanging on her every word. He looked upset, she said in excitement. If he didn't like me, he wouldn't be upset, right? Right, I agreed. He would be fine with you getting over him if he didn't like you. Oh my gosh, she exclaimed happily. I can't believe he actually likes me. Now we just have to get him to admit it, I said. Did he say anything when you told him that? He said that I'm special, and that I deserve a guy who will treat me with respect, she answered, faltering a bit. Do you really think that going out with Blaine will make him jealous? He sure doesn't treat girls with respect. He's been through so many of them already. That's the whole point, I told her. He'll see that you're with the wrong guy, and it will drive him crazy. Are you sure that you can control this guy, though? I asked in concern. She waved off my worry. Yeah, Blaine's a player, but he's not a rapist or anything. Eastland has a pretty small student body, and most of us have known each other since preschool. You go to Eastland? I exclaimed. I'm starting there tomorrow. Really? She asked excitedly. Oh my gosh, we'll be going to the same school. I was thrilled to hear that I would have a friend there, and I impulsively threw my arms around her. That's so wonderful! She hugged me back just as enthusiastically, and had a huge smile on her face when she pulled back. We'll have lunch together, she gushed. I'm in a different grade, I reminded her apologetically. We all have lunch at the same time, she informed me. There are only about 300 students in the whole school, so... I gaped at her. 300 altogether? Including all 4 grades? Yeah, she confirmed. The thought of it astounded me. The school I had been going to had over 1,700 students, so I couldn't imagine how small my new high school would be. I had been looking forward to the anonymity of being an unknown face in the crowd, but that would be impossible in a place where there would only be about 75 students in my entire grade. Being new in a school that small would put me in the spotlight, and that made me anxious about what kind of impression I would make on my first day. I reminded myself that it couldn't be any worse than my tarnished reputation at the school I had transferred from. Still, I knew how very lucky I was to have a friend there already. Knowing that I could sit with Morgan during lunch alleviated a lot of my anxiety. The worst part of being a new student was the social awkwardness of finding a seat in the cafeteria. Being the outsider in a place where people had known each other since preschool would have made the ordeal even worse, so I felt grateful to Morgan for sparing me from that. I silently renewed my vow to be the best friend I possibly could to her. I didn't spend all day at her house, but I invited her over to help me pick out an outfit for my first day at school. Mom was happy to see that I had made a new friend and invited her to stay for dinner. Introducing Morgan to Mom reminded me of her insistence on meeting Logan, so I asked her if I could invite him to dinner too. Morgan's eyes widened in panic at this unexpected development, but I couldn't reassure her about it in front of my mom. She wanted me to call him immediately so that she could inform Lauren if there would be another guest for dinner. Logan didn't sound happy to hear from me, but he agreed to come over for dinner. I made no mention to him about Morgan being here too. Once we were out of earshot, Morgan fretted anxiously. Why did you do that? I wasn't planning on seeing him today. I don't know how to... It's okay, I interrupted her. We're just having dinner. He won't ask you anything personal in front of my mom. It'll be perfect for catching him off guard. You did great when he came over to your house, so just have that same attitude. Okay, she agreed uncertainly. Like a scene from a movie, she added with a little more assurance. Yes, I encouraged her. Exactly like that. I was feeling pretty pleased with myself over how well my plan was working. I was sure that Logan wouldn't be able to resist Morgan much longer, and that everyone would live happily ever after. I thought I'd become wiser after all the mistakes I had made in the past, but I didn't realize how naive I still was.